Okay. It looks like it's working. Can you still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you fine.
Okay, perfect. I am now recording. Thank you so much for your time. Okay. Um, so just for recording's sake, this is about the show that took place on March 27th and 28th, or maybe it's 28th and 29th of March 2009, right?
Yes, it was a very long time ago, and I
Yes.
definitely have some photos and videos from around that time, as well as other times of me following the band and supporting them during their infancy in San Diego in the early 2010s. And I should also mention, for the sake of purposes, hi, I'm Matt. I work in the video game industry, and I've been associated with the band a long time ago during the MySpace era, and been a happy supporter of them ever since. Although I have not really followed a lot as far as what's been going on. I'm familiar with the fact that they got that steampunk video game deal and have cycled a number of different members throughout the band. I was friends with the original band, which considered John, the John, Rabbit, the Spine, and Upgrade. That's the
Cool.
era that I remember, at least.
That is that is so cool. What was that? Uh, what was that like? To
Well,
at the time.
I'll start at the beginning, I should
Okay.
say. And I'll let you know that I do have a good folder regarding specifically what you're referring to, but I believe I have more photos and more videos that I'll try to find maybe a little bit later on. Um, all of these were mostly backed up from Photo Bucket, which was an old person program that a lot of kids used in the early 2000s. And if I don't know if you've ever had one, but I guess the photos are still available, but you have to pay to basically get them back. So I did that quite some time ago, and I found a lot of fun photos. As a matter of fact, these might be the photos of the moment that I first met them. So what was happening initially was I was really into the early 2010s steampunk scene with another one of my friends. Her name was Christina, and as a matter of fact, I don't know if she is still affiliated with the band at all, but together, we were really close and trying to be part of like group gatherings. Specifically, we met at a group gathering called the San Diego Cosplay Group, sdcosplay.org, I believe it was. That's how we initially started talking. And there was a steampunk group meetup at the Balboa Park in San Diego. In front of the fountain, in front of like the technology, space and technology museum, there was a group of four performers that were buskers, and they were dressed up like steam powered robots. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a coincidence. We had never heard of them before. And I believe we were speaking with the John, who then gave me his card, which I don't know if you've noticed, I did post on the Reddit thread for Steam Powered Giraffe, their
I
original
did
business card.
I did see that. I saw that the day you posted it, which was before I even had even tried to find any information about that show, and I thought that was really neat that I commented on that post saying this is so cool or something like that, and then like a week later I messaged you about something entirely different. I just thought that was a fun little coincidence of, oh, this was like a week ago that I saw that. That's uh I've
I know,
been
crazy, right?
it is crazy. I had been going through old steampunk and cosplay groups from the time trying to find other old photos, and so I think that name does sound familiar to me. But that is so cool that you met them when they were still busking and at such a. How large was that event, if I might ask? Like, was it just like a few hundred people, 20 people? What scale are we talking here?
I could show you.
I would love to see.
So I have a folder here and I don't recognize it. These might be my photos. And I only say might because I don't recognize the file folder when I basically transferred everything. Let me start off by grabbing what appears to be the same set. There's multiple sets in here. So this appears to be the same set. This would be, okay, let's do this many at a time. what will it allow me to do? Too many? All right, let's try half. 10. Okay, I can count. Here's 10 photos. Let me know when that is able to load for you.
I have seen them. I am looking at them right now.
Okay, great. And if there's duplicates, do let me know because I don't really know what's out there and what's not. I'm actually surprised to see that um, my old photos that I actually tagged, which is in a separate folder, we can get to that after this, um, were actually uploaded. Which is kind of great because I would bring my camera everywhere. I was a struggling amateur photographer and never made any money, but I would just love to take pictures of my friends, which is also kind of great because I can't wait to tell you the story of the actual concert. Um, so let me get through these real quick. Have you seen these before by any
I've
chance?
seen a few of them are definitely familiar to me. Specifically the one of upgrade that's from a side profile in the second of 10 message. I've definitely seen that one before. I haven't seen many of these. I don't exactly have an encyclopedic knowledge of every photo ever taken of them, but I do recognize a few of these definitely from other like Pinterest re-uploads that I've gone through and other like general like trying to find photos and all that. But a lot of these are new to me, and that's really cool to see, especially of ones this early, if that makes sense. Them busking.
Hmm.
There's a lot of okay photos, but these ones are very, very nice to see.
Well, thank you. Let's see here. And after these, they directly go into the specific of the concert. So while Christine and I were talking to John, we did not get a chance to talk to the other three members, because they were talking to other people. As a matter of fact, I distinctly remember the picture here, um, where I think I took the picture of the spine talking to an Asian woman. I think I might have taken that. This might have been some sort of shared photo bucket album that a lot of people uploaded. So I believe some of these videos were mine. Let me see here. Okay, great. So these photos, that is actually a picture of the Christina girl that I was telling you of.
Oh,
That's her in
cool.
the center of them. Now, the reason why I want to mention her is that I know that she did make some sort of custom pieces for Rabbit as far as costume goes, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. Um, and then here we have two more uploaded super bad quality videos. Wait, let me take a quick look at these. We're talking pre-YouTube. We're talking about people using MySpace. That's how old these are.
I
So I'll
was
send
going
these
through
to
old
you.
MySpace pages. MySpace had a in it was either 2017 or 2018 they lost almost all the user data they had. And
Mhm.
seeing old videos from that era is so fun because ones that were uploaded to MySpace, pretty much everything is gone now, and that is so cool to see.
Yeah, unfortunately. And that is actually something that I also try to look for specifically because there was an incident that happened with Rabbit, who that was Rabbit's moniker back then, that became a very bizarre April Fool's joke. So I guess we could fast forward a little bit before we get to the next one. I'll mention that real quick. So originally on MySpace, um, and what is Rabbit's name now?
Isabella or Bunny.
Isabella. Isabella, Bunny. Um, I just remember I do refer to them as the Bennetts. I believe that's what their last names were.
Yes.
Um, so back before Isabella transitioned, right? Mind you, there was a lot of, and I don't want to talk out of turn, but I am going to basically give you as much information as possible. And mind you, this is just my remembering of things. If it's not accurate or if it's not true, then I apologize. I have no idea. There's no way to vet any of this information. These are just my own experiences. Um, back in the day, Isabella, pre-transition, would talk about their sexuality and sexual identity. And it was never under any circumstances of it being like I'm gay or I'm struggling with these I like feelings. It was I don't know what my feelings are. I guess that is actually it was struggling to identify what their sexuality and I assume gender was because it was a lot of like being supported by their partner at that time. And then all of a sudden there was this story about how they were going to transition into a woman. And the story was on April Fool's, mind you, I had no idea it was April Fool's because I could not remember anything. But they went into a long story about how their character Rabbit, in order to be able to fit into the story for Steam Powered Giraffe, was going to be hit by a school bus full of nuns. And in the process of having the doctor repair their body, parts would be missing. So their only other option was to remake Rabbit into Bunny, and that this was going to be the identity going forward. And I 100% believed it. I 100% believed it going forward. I even wrote on the comment, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And then Isabella wrote April Fools. And everybody laughed because like we're talking about pre-transgendered LGBT movement the way that it was gearing up towards that. And I 100% believed Isabella at the time. And if we were to consider it now, it really is the longest running April Fool's joke ever because it's never going to be, there is no April Fool's. I guess the real April Fool's was the April Fool's in itself because it eventually became true. I actually remembered that separate post and I wasn't sure if it was another April Fool's because they tried to make it into a joke initially, but it was from struggling with their identity and sexuality to I'm immediately transitioning immediately. And during back then, it was also kind of like, oh, like you didn't there wasn't any kind of perception as far as um what would necessarily be a process or like what would be happening regarding that. But all I knew is that I was 100% supportive. I was very confused because of the April Fool's joke because I was like, okay, so maybe it wasn't a joke and that was just like a way of struggling to be able to come to your own terms of sexuality and identity. Um, so that was interesting. So moving forward, eventually Rabbit, while taking hormones and everything, was able to transition into Isabella and Bunny, which I actually really loved. As a matter of fact, because I was so close, quote unquote, close with the band, I wanted to be able to support them as they had. I knew them during a period where they were working tech support and they had lost their jobs, both Bennett's. I actually commissioned artwork specifically from Isabella that I was trying to get so that it would be like my debit card and my credit card, like how you could upload pictures and stuff. And I will try to find that artwork for you because, as I understand, it's still there. Like it's still technically my artwork or whatever, but I never got accepted because the Wells Fargo said that it looked like too much like Tim Burton. And I was like, it's not. It's legally distinct. How far do I have to fight this? And I did try to fight it for a very long time. And eventually I just like, oh, fuck it. Who cares? Um, and the artwork was basically a portrait of Bunny and a portrait of Rabbit and showing the transition between the two, which I thought was pretty amazing. Let me see here. I'll
Extremely
just take a
cool.
quick little look.
Um, if it's anything, I was when I was trying to before I found your Reddit information, I did find your Flickr, and I do think it is on there. I did see
Oh
that.
yeah.
Um, because I remember that I
I had no idea if that was still open.
mm,
Oh, that's two bunnies. Where's
those are
Rabbit?
really cool. That's really cool art.
Where is oh there he is. I thought it was a really great dichotomy. I believe Isabel did portraits of all the robots. Or is in the process of doing them. I don't know if I actually have the other ones. I'm not sure if they existed. But yeah, I actually really love the design aspect of having a cogwheel being fragmented into almost like a phallic image, but also representing femininity at the same time.
That is, I hadn't
Um,
picked that up when I was. That is such a cool. That is cool. I didn't notice that. That's very cool imagery.
Yeah, so here you go. So going back to that particular night, so these are the photos from that particular night. You might already have these. I don't know what's actually survived, but I could not take a steady photo for my life. I was always putting everything on night mode and makes everything blurry as absolute get out. Um, so basically, the same time that both Christine and I were talking to John, John was telling us about their upcoming play. And we were a little bit confused. We were like, is it a concert? And he explained that it was, oh, here, the last one here is an animated GIF. That's crazy, but that actually still animates after all this time. So I think you could see that there is the professor on the left
I
and his assistant.
figured.
Oh, you're breaking up a little.
Sorry. Is this better?
Yeah,
Okay,
good. Yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
so sorry. My microphone isn't fixed. These
No,
are
that's fine.
so cool. These photos you've I these are so cool to see. I've seen one of them. I'm not sure which one, but one of the group shot photos. I found that one reposted with a filter on it onto uh what Jerry Hager, I think his name is. I don't know how to say his last name. I'm sorry. To onto his Facebook with a filter on it. But these are so cool to see in the original colors. This is so fun.
Yeah, I was desperately trying to figure out how to like make them work. I think these are actually the entire cast of everybody that was involved in the play. So um before the play happened, I had like, oh, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get tickets. I actually promoted it on a Yahoo group, which is also an old person thing, for the Steampunk Society of Southern California. At least I believe that's what it was referred to as. I basically made a little post advertising the play, saying there's this up and coming theater troupe that are making this steampunk play, and if anybody wants to come, let me know. And surprisingly enough, a lot of people from that group did come, including I believe he was either the creator or president of CondorCon. He came along with I believe his wife, and they were in the audience. And I don't know if this was I like to believe that I helped them, meaning the giraffe troop. I think I was able to get them in connection with the president of CondorCon to have them be the lead band or the lead musical act for CondorCon later on. I had found out that they had actually, which is CondorCon is like a convention for books, specifically for science fiction and fantasy and stuff like that, from what I understand, as opposed to like Comic Con. And I don't know if that was ever true, but I thought maybe I had influenced their like uh helping them get promoted in every like a little slight way that way. But who knows if that was actually true. So the play itself was consisted of two parts. The first part was the play part, which was some sort of MacGuffin where the professor has a problem. He's going to lose something or something that has to do with money. And the whole goal was to get the robots to the World's Fair, where they were going to perform a live concert. So the first half of the play was all about the play part, which I don't know if I can even necessarily recall the details, but the second part of the play was the actual concert. So they make it to the World's Fair and they're performing all their songs for everybody. And I remember being in the front row and looking up at the robots, and I had this weird sensation that I thought, for whatever reason, this is so silly, that Upgrade was staring right at me. And I'm like, no. And it kept happening like two or three times. And I'm like, they're looking at the crowd. Why would I think that they're looking directly at me? That'd be crazy. So immediately after the concert was over, we're out in this lobby, which you see pictured, right? They eventually come out and meet everybody. But before the whole cast came out, Upgrade comes off stage, and I'm out in the lobby. She walks right up to me and says, "Are you Matthew?" And I'm like, "How does this robot know my name?" Because she said my first and last name. And I'm like, "Uh-oh. Am I gonna have to fight this robot? I don't know what I did. I don't know if I owe her money." But she says, "Hi, I don't know if you remember me, but my name's Aaron Berg. We went to private Catholic school together." And I lost my mind. This robot that I've been staring at a wig and makeup, I knew being the crazy freckled girl from my grade school that I grew up with. And now she's a singing robot, and I'm going to her concert. And I'm like, what are the friggin' odds? And we had remained in touch since then. During that time, she was dating the actor, the Bennett, that was the Spine. Um, and the John was still part of the band. So that was like a crazy, unbelievable like coincidence that we happened to have known each other. And eventually I was able to talk to those the band about like their makeup process and whether or not they experimented with any kind of like masks in regards to separate from the face paint. Um and I at that point I would just follow them at any kind of their excursions, which I also have pictures of. Um did you have any questions regarding that?
Oh, that's such a fun coincidence. That's really cool. Um, I I
Yeah,
do
that's
have a few
crazy.
questions about the play, specifically the cast. Do you remember who's, if anything at all, do you remember for the human cast? I can identify probably two people in this photo as who they're supposed to be. But do you have any memory of who specifically the person in the red dress, the person in the hat that isn't a robot, and the second lab coat person is who they were supposed to be in the play?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the person in the red dress was part of the play. She might have been. I think what's so difficult about this is that it was such a long period of
Yeah.
time. Did you try asking the band
I
themselves?
haven't yet. I probably will. I didn't I first wanted to get photos to like uh if I so I could have references of what I was even talking about because this was so long ago. I know
Yeah.
that there was a Facebook post made in I think it would have been November of 2011 that I came across that mentioned this, which is how I found out this play even happened, that mentioned specifically if you look next to the professor, next to it, there's the kind of hunched over looking scary guy. That is
Yeah.
probably Norman, who is a character in the band's webcomic. And the Facebook post mentioned Norman was in it, and that this play was that. And that's how I got down this whole rabbit hole of scourging around the internet for any evidence of this even happening. The fact that you remember it so well is so cool to me because
Oh, I wish I could remember it a little bit better. So I do apologize because it
I
was so
mean,
long ago.
uh, this
Um,
is still.
yeah.
I didn't even know it was a play. I was under the impression it was just a. What I was under the impression was it was a 1950s theme show. But it being a play is a really cool thing, and it makes sense with what I know about the with the poster that I found. Um, I found the poster for this show, which is how I narrowed it down to which theater it was and when it was. But yeah, that's so cool just to know more of what even happened because I'm piecing things together from for a decade old posts on Facebook and very JPEG compressed posters.
Yeah, I mean, to think that people would actually care about all of this from such a long time ago, it's really great to see how much the band has changed and flourished. Um, let me see here. What do I have? So the reason why I think that you would be able to directly ask the band is because doing research, like I worked in the video game industry, recently got laid off, as one does in the game industry. So I've been going through all my stuff, trying to find things to sell. And one of the things that I found was a purchase that I had at this particular play concert, which was the Steam Powered Giraffe card game, which was my other post that I made on the Steam Powered
Oh,
Giraffe
the
Reddit.
card game.
And it turns out, yes.
There were so
Um,
few photos of
and
that card game. That's the secondary thing that I've been there. I've managed to find archived versions of the website for the rule set of the card game, a lot of promotional images for the card game, but the cards themselves are they're extremely hard to find photos of. I've found a few of the art on them, but it's so cool that you uh
really?
um
Oh,
I know that
I could do that for
seen
you.
I mean, I haven't particularly looked that much for the card game, but I know that it's been like I was looking for more of the art, and there is it was a brief thing that I was doing. I got sidetracked by trying to find these photos. But uh it's just the card game is it's really cool because it's there's not that much surviving on the internet about it because so the band redid their website in would have been about 2016 or so, and a lot of the stuff from before 2016, all the legacy pages and whatnot, got you were no longer able to access them properly through the current website, so it became a lot of going on the Wayback. The Internet Archive is basically the Wayback Machine. It takes snapshots of websites so you can search through them,
Oh,
and so a lot of finding old stuff is hoping that the links were archived back in 20 whatever it was in. So it's a lot of the card game's one of those really cool things that like really old merch that is hard to find information on, but it's it's really cool that you have that.
I had no idea. I actually never clicked on the link because, okay, it looks like David Bennett replied to that thread that this was posted by the Lone Nickel, and this was 2 years ago. And I thought that the artwork was part of the PDF that he posted. So no, it's not. I've never clicked on these links. Okay, great. Well, that would probably be helpful for your wiki, right? If somebody actually posted a picture of all the cards
Would
and
be
stuff.
so helpful. I know that I've seen the rabbit art in good quality because Isabella posted it to her DeviantArt many years ago, but I'm not quite sure about the other arts. I don't think they're I think I might have seen a bad quality one of the spine, but I might be confusing it with some other artwork. There's a lot of artwork. Um, Generally speaking, the photos, the card game's really hard to find photos of.
Yeah, man, I didn't know. I just assumed, oh, maybe all the artwork was already shared. So I actually was I contacted the Lone Nickel, and he is interested in purchasing it from me, but has not gotten back to me about it yet. Which I don't know how much something like this would even be worth, to be honest. I think I was trying to find that out. So no, maybe it's actually worth a lot more than I think it is. Wait a minute.
This
I'll
is
have to find that out. But in the meantime, yeah, I could easily take some
I
pictures and
would
send it
love
to you.
that. If it's anything, this is the only copy of the card game that I've ever seen in the past few months of me going down these rabbit holes that looks to be complete. Um, I You're the first person I've found that has it, but I haven't particularly looked into finding it. I had put that on the to do later list because it uh I I'm in school right now, and I have a lot of stuff that I work and I have school, and this is one of those hobbies that I have that I can't give 100% of my time to, obviously, but I would love any photos of the card game. Old merch like that is really hard to find good images of.
Of course. It'll give me I'm in the process of moving everything into the garage. So as soon as I figure out where I bagged it up, I will happy to send you them on Discord and whatnot. Separate from that, I know that you said that you're busy, but I do have more photos and videos and stories. If maybe we want to save them for another time.
I'm not.
and I'd be happy to share them with
I'm
you.
not that busy tonight, but if you'd want to do another interview like this, I would be entirely open to that. This is an extremely cool thing, and thank you so much for your time and the stories. That's so
Oh,
cool.
absolutely.